somebody for an answer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. We are back in the room to talk more about video. What are you laughing at?
Well, like, it's just like, you start off like, way!
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's because I'm recording on a seesaw. We're actually in a playground at the moment. You might hear a swing. We should just add in all these like environmental sounds in the background and stuff. And that's what. Yeah. That'd be gas. What was I trying to say? Oh,
back to the room.
We're back in the room.
Back to the room.
Back to the room.
Back.
Get out of the
to
fucking
the room.
picnic park. Get to your room. Get out of that playground. Up the fuck. Get off that slide. You have some recording to do.
Get in out of the sun.
We are back in the room to talk more about video games. I'm Chris, joined by my brothers Adam and Eric.
Hey.
Hello.
And just do that and I'm now because I think you're going to do hello at the same time. We are one. And we're here to give our take on our favourite games from the year 2017.
It feels a lot longer.
Yeah.
I find that there's a lot of games where some of the games that were earlier in the decade, I thought I was like
sooner.
Surprised they're that old, and then some of these newer ones I think are older, and I don't know whether that's just the impact. I think that some of the earlier games I have replayed more.
Sure.
Or even every time you say it, it's like, I don't give a shit about your enjoyment. Sure. Nice one, nerd. Anyway, let's dive into 2017. So, Eric, I'm going to come to you first because we know you're conflicted.
I am conflicted.
And conflict is what people want in a podcast.
Yes.
They don't come here for information. They come here for your inner struggles and demons.
Yes.
Speaking of inner struggles and demons, both of these games deal with that as a topic. I think.
They really do. There is The Evil Within 2.
Yeah.
And then there's XCOM 2 War of the Chosen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
all the devils and demons.
Okay, why don't we start with XCOM?
XCOM 2
as a carry on from, because in the last episode you talked about XCOM 2, so this is an expansion of that.
Yeah, it is an expansion. It's a massive expansion. It was bigger than Enemy Within expansion. It adds in new characters, adds in new dialogues, new cinematics, new classes, new abilities, new weapons, new weapon upgrades, new enemies, new villains with their own voice acting work.
All on a new disc.
All on a new disc.
There's a new cover. Is there a new story elements?
Was there a new price?
There was. It includes all the expansions, all the DLCs, all the little mini DLCs.
So is this sort of like the special collector's
reworked into the game
edition of XCOM 2?
Is it the what?
You know the way, like, you'll notice it a lot with NetherRealm Studio games now. It's like, yes, they'll release a new Injustice or a new Mortal Kombat, but if you wait a year, you'll get a full game. Is this what that is? I'm not saying XCOM 2 wasn't a full game, but is this like... This is like the definitive XCOM 2 experience.
Yes, yeah, it would be the definitive XCOM experience, but not as low down as just the idea of you're playing a fighter game with now just the characters.
Yeah.
So with it,
as low down,
right,
okay.
Yeah,
so if any of you people out there, if fighting games are your thing,
I'll totally not fight you.
Yeah. I'm backing the fuck up. Okay, so. But what makes this a separate game as opposed to just an expansion of a game?
What?
Right.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Right. Do you know the way...
How much money is this question worth?
Do you know the way... in the last episode... Who wants to be... We should put that music in. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? when we asked this question.
No. Copyright issues.
Yeah, but it would be funny.
Oh, well, as long as it's for comedy.
As long it's worth, yeah. If someone tries to sue you, you just go, can't you take a joke? Yeah, you're trying to restrict my humor. But last episode, Final Fantasy 15, right, was my second favorite game.
Yes.
Right? And I'm pretty sure this year, by the end of 2017, because it was a year later and they kept adding stuff, they released the Royal Edition.
Did they?
Right? So,
Okay.
is this like if I said, well, Final Fantasy 15, the Royal Edition was my favorite game this year? Which is essentially the same game, it just has added stuff. Or is it a separate game?
It's not a separate game. It's definitely an expansion on it, much like the Royal Edition, only it adds more.
Yeah, I'm not saying... When I do these comparisons, I don't mean...
I know what you mean.
Exactly
I know what you
like
mean.
this. I'm just
I
saying...
know what you mean.
So it's like the Royal Edition.
Yes. It'd
Of
be like,
Xcom 2.
yeah. Because it's like, yeah.
Okay. So technically,
It's not,
the
okay.
game didn't really come out that year then.
I
But
suppose.
this version of the game did.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
conflicted. No, okay,
Fair-
no, but
fair
tell us
enough.
more about XCOM
Okay,
2.
right. So you have the start of it. It opens up quite similar to XCOM 2 opens up, only with a little more added cinematic to it.
All right.
Your character gets saved from an advent facility. You get brought in, and that then triggers the elder aliens to release their tree chosen, to hunt you down. That is their whole goal.
This is a whole new...
Gameplay mechanic of now. Not only are you trying to fight against the Avatar project, which would end XCOM, you're now trying to fight against the Tree Chosen, who are hunting you down.
All right,
So
cool.
you have that element. Each one of them have their own lines, their own progression themselves, with their own strengths and weaknesses. They can show up randomly on any mission to try mess you over.
Well,
One of them is voiced by Nolan North, actually.
okay.
So this is a game where he showed up without Troy Baker. Just to put that part out there.
Well, he has done like loads with them.
Yeah, that's true. Then you have the 3 new classes as well, which are quite good at combating the Chosen.
Yeah.
There's new enemies, so the government organization known as Advent get, I think, 2 or 3 more enemies, 2 or 3 new enemy types.
Right.
One of them is called like a purifier. They're very good at burning particular enemies. Then you got a priest, which has like psionic capabilities, which is like the magic of XCOM. And the third one is... No, there's just 2. Never mind, there's just 2. And the aliens get a unit known as a Spectre, which is like a robot made out of lots of nanomachines, and they have obviously their own strengths and weaknesses. And then they also add in the Lost, which are only in these like destroyed derelict cities, and they're all essentially just zombies. Humans affected by alien radiation, and their minds have melded, and they're all just zombies. If you like cause an explosion, it will call more of the Lost in.
Cool.
Swarms and stuff. So that creates even new like gameplay
difficult
mechanics.
scenarios as well, right?
And
And
it's
strategy.
kind of can be quite creepy and stressful as well.
Is this just a better version of XCOM 2?
Yeah, okay. When you're putting it that way, yeah, that's what it is.
I know. I'm only asking you. Like, maybe I have it wrong, but I'm trying to figure out. This is XCOM 2, but improved.
Yeah, it would be XCOM 2, but
Even
improved.
more added to it.
Why does it always sound like every time you're asking them questions, it's like you are actually...
In a court, it's like,
Yeah.
well, that is true, Your Honor.
So what you're saying is...
yeah.
I'm very
Ladies and
scared.
gentlemen of the jury,
You need to go, I object. This is ridiculous.
what has this got to do with anything?
You asked for his take, damn it.
Yep.
Okay,
That
cool.
happened.
So, what made it such a good game then? Just the addition stuff?
Just the additional stuff. Yeah, it was great.
And can you state for the record, sir?
Sold.
New customization
This
again.
episode is like
New
a court case.
customization options for your characters. New classes. It contains all the DLC as well. So if you didn't get them and you get this, you get everything.
Yep.
And there's like new building, like in your mobile command center, you have different little spaces where you can build facilities to help you.
Yeah.
They introduce new facilities which help with training and improving your troops. You have a system called Bond, which where 2 soldiers bond together.
Yeah.
when they're on missions together, they can benefit each other. So there's this kind of like friendly.
So they become like a buddy
duo
system?
type- Yeah, like a buddy system and stuff. Which again creates even more of that dynamic of bringing the characters more to life and everything.
Yeah, and then if one of them dies, does it affect the other one in some
It
way?
does actually.
Yeah,
They
cool.
actually go into a panic.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they have to get like therapy afterwards.
Yeah.
You
You have to put them in therapy.
Do you really?
Actually, maybe not. But but no,
Is anything you're saying about the game true?
no, not at all. It's all
Can you
lies.
please state that for the record?
There's also there's a fatigue system, so your troops can
Is
get
there
tired.
actually though?
There is.
Can you expand on that?
The troops can get tired, so if you don't want them to fuck up the next mission, you have to make them rest and everything like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. So
I'd hate that. That's
it's
like
a great
people-
way to keep in shape.
it's like people management.
Yeah,
people manage
it's
it.
like Fallout Shelter, but more
or The
stressful.
Sims.
It's like The
Or The
Sims.
Sims, but violent.
The Sims is very violent.
Yeah,
Clearly,
man.
you've never played The Sims.
Man,
I
there's
have
a
not.
fucking-
I have only played the first one, where no matter who you choose, you always have a black mom.
What?
Just putting it out there.
What-
Yes, in the first one you always do, and she hates you. For
I
some
really
reason.
don't think that's true.
I played the first
I
one
think
many
that's
times.
just an episode of Tom and Jerry. Okay, cool. And then the other game that you were kind of tossing around
Yes.
was The Evil Within 2.
Yes.
A return to
Great.
the shit of nightmares.
Turning to the shit of nightmares where we. What the fuck?
So what just happened there was, as soon as we said that, all the lights started twitching in the house. Oh, this is not just a playground; it's a haunted playground. Fucking hell!
That was terrifying.
Maybe we won't talk about the Evil
No,
Within
maybe
2.
not.
No. So, what about the Evil Within 2? Did you like?
I had to take a gulp of tea there in case.
Yeah,
all these
just
questions.
You, like swallowing in panic. Like, oh, I'm worried to talk about it now. The ground is just going to start opening.
I got swallowed into the depths of hell itself.
Yeah.
What I like about Evil 2 is it expands even more in the story. The
By the
voice
way,
acting
this is
good.
not an interview. You're fucking- it's like, well, what I liked about The Evil Within 2
My
was,
strengths and weaknesses are.
it's just, it's like you're answering me like it's an exam question. I just want your fucking opinion, man.
Did you like the Evil Within 2 and why? Okay, never mind. I was going on with the exam question, quirk.
So,
It
did you like
expands on
about
the story. The gameplay is improved. The voice acting is 100 times better.
It is better,
And
it's still not amazing.
Fuck you too.
Oh, all right. Did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
Okay,
It's
okay,
class.
fair enough.
And because one of the best things about it is because you know always if you do a horror series, horror games, and you get the character that's already experienced it, it immediately now is not as scary.
Well, there's a worry that that character is going to get used to this.
Yeah.
Yep.
You still have that fear because of the fact you're going into a new and improved STEM system where you're in this virtual reality thingy.
Yeah.
And all
Messed up Matrix.
Yeah, messed up Matrix. That's exactly what it is. All the creatures are now different, so therefore everything is still a new experience. There's a new spider lady kind of type thing in it.
Yeah, it's like a huge thing with like a saw hand or something, isn't it? Or
Oh, actually, no.
Is that a different one I'm thinking of?
That's another terrifying creature. Yes.
yeah, and she like pops through a mirror or something at one point. Like when
Yeah,
you introduce her, it's really fucking scary.
Yeah, she pops through a mirror, and another time she comes along. If you find a group of bodies on just piled together, she will most likely burst out of them as
Wow.
well, or they all make her. I think she actually is just an
Yeah,
amalgamation.
isn't she an amalgamation of bodies? Yeah, there's lots
Yeah.
of hands and stuff in her upper torso.
the thing I was thinking about was Spectre Girl, or whatever the hell you want to call her, Ghost Lady.
Right.
First time you meet her, you just go into a house, you go into a room, you find a journal, you read a journal, you go out the bedroom door, into the main hallway, then a couch in the sitting room just flies against the front door, and then the whole room just goes this like grey blue colour, and it goes really cold and foggy, and then you hear this like laughing, this little like snigger and something. You turn around and she's just there in the hallway.
Sorry, the lights did the twitching again.
Yeah, the lights did.
And then the dog in the background is growling, and they sense evil. And this whole session is getting so creepy.
It's like we're doing a seance.
yeah, like, and then the couch moves, and then what the fuck? Okay, sorry, continue.
So she then
Ignore the lights.
kind of jumps towards you or moves towards you, and you kind of run away like into another room, and then you end up back in like a hospital area from like the first
That's why
game.
you said, please continue ignoring the lights. It's like if you had guests over. It's like, oh, just so you know, someone lives here. You can't see them, but just ignore them.
Yeah. It's like if you come over, it's like, no, you'll have to mind the ghost.
Tends to move things around. Just ignore it.
Yeah, just ignore it. Yeah. Don't leave your phone plugged in. Sorry.
Anyway, and so when you like escape into this kind of escape from where you end up in like a hospital from like the first game.
Oh, right, yeah.
And you have to try like get past her, sneak past her, and she just floats through walls and doors. She doesn't open anything. She makes no sound apart from hums a lullaby.
Oh yeah.
Just the whole
that
time.
would freak
She
the
is
shit
the
out of me.
creepiest. She is so creepy.
Yeah.
That was the end.
I've actually, because I've seen a lot of footage from the game, not only from when you were playing it, like I haven't played it myself, and I've seen other people play it online because I'm always curious about new horror games, especially to see the new creatures and designs. And I have not seen her, so now I'm really curious.
I've not looked her up.
Yeah,
she's super creepy.
Yeah,
She's
that sounds really interesting.
horrible.
The gameplay was improved in this game, right? Or in your opinion, is it?
It's improved from it, but it's still quite similar. It still feels quite. Doesn't feel like a completely different game. It still feels quite similar. So you know it's like the same world, and you're still quite used to it. With then some different mechanics as well.
It's just kind of they've opened up more options, I think, isn't it, in the gameplay?
Yeah, new crafting options. I think you can craft gunpowder. No, that's Resident 7.
Not even just that though. I don't mean like. I just mean like you can go about the game in a
well, now
different
they have
way. Like
open.
it's,
They have greater open maps. With
like it's like a sandbox kind of game.
kind of with like side quests and everything as well.
Yeah,
which
that's
expand on the
what I
world, and then they have.
That's exactly what I was trying to get you to say.
You see, he's guilty.
Even he admits it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Where you guys are done talking.
Can I say what I like about the fucking game now? Just wait till your fucking turn.
Variety of weapons as well. It's great. It's a great way to kill things. You know what I mean?
And keep in shape.
Yeah, keep it cheap. Side quests.
There's
with
two
safe
villains or
rooms.
something, isn't there?
There's 3 villains.
3 villains.
They couldn't beat Ruvik, so they split him into 3.
Right. Yeah. Is Ruvik not in it at all?
No, they mentioned him.
Because-
He's not in it, but some of the enemies from the first game are in it, and it's a really cool sequence.
Okay, cool. Because not to spoil the end of the Evil Within 1.
But you kill Ruvik.
No, I was about to say not to spoil the end of the Evil Within 1.
Right.
But Ruvik is out there.
Is he?
Man, that statement is way out there.
way out
Is
there.
he?
How do you not know this?
Because it's dumb?
So Ruvik's. So that I was just curious. In the second game, would he show up in? Okay, spoiler alert for the Evil Within 1.
Right. You talking about when he transfers his consciousness into the weird child?
He's in Leslie.
Yeah. Do you not remember the bit when it says Leslie and Leslie is in a body bag, so he's dead?
What?
Mind blown.
In which?
First one.
But he's there at the end, right?
Leslie, yeah.
And he turns around to Sebastian, and Sebastian gets the same pain in his head that he used to get whenever Ruvik was around. And that's to let you know Ruvik successfully made it out. Because his whole plan is to swap his conscience into someone else. Leslie is who he's trying to get into, so that he can leave the machine. And he gets away. Because it's one of those endings where you thought you won. It's like a classic horror. And then at the last second you realise the villain actually completed their plan and they got away. So Ruvik is out there and is alive. He's in Leslie's body. And then people walk past and then Leslie's gone. You never got that?
I don't remember that scene at all.
Right, so that's the end of the Evil Within 1.
Oh,
Unless
right.
there's multiple endings. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
I've seen that ending.
There isn't multiple endings, no.
So, yeah, that's why I was surprised, because I was like, surely in the follow-up,
No,
Ruvik will come back in some way.
maybe he'll be in the third one, because it does...
Maybe they'll come back to him.
Because, yeah, maybe they will, because this one seems to deal mainly with Mobius, who was mainly responsible for the events.
They're like the umbrella of Evil Within.
They're the umbrella of Evil Within. And there's a great sequence when you actually get to take them on, when you're playing as Julie Kidman. I think it's
Oh, yeah.
She's like the Ada of it. If the game is just kind of Resident Evil 2 mixed with the Matrix, not Resident Evil 2, but just Resident Evil mixed with the Matrix. That's pretty much what the games are. But there's a great sequence when you get the.
Oh, that sounds good to me. Sounds like the movies.
Yeah. But you get to play as her taking on the different agents of Mobius, which is great. And it's a cool premise on the idea of Sebastian Castellanos. When you first see him, he's in a bar, like at the end of like his mind is just at the end of a bottle. Like, you know, he's just drowning himself in alcohol. And then, because he was constantly trying to look for Mobius, because essentially what they did to him, his mind is still back in the hospital. Like,
he's got PTSD, really, from the first
massive
game.
PTSD. He's fired from being a detective because of it.
Yeah.
They all declared him insane. And then eventually they come up and they say that they need his help. And he's like, why? And it's like, oh, because your daughter's actually alive. And he thought she was dead for years. For years he thought that she was dead. So just to find that out as well and everything, have that premise of being a father kind of character, trying to get to your daughter, the person you weren't there for a long time.
I don't know if the growling and the running around is showing up, is being picked up by the mics. It might be. We recently, not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, we got a dog. Her name is Pippin. And normally she's very quiet, but at the moment she's very excited and she's attacking her bed. So you might hear that on the mics. Or she just doesn't like the Evil Within 2. I don't know.
Maybe not.
She's just expressing her dislike for it. I don't know. Do you think it's better than the first one?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Is that just because of the way it plays?
Yeah, the way it plays, again, the voice acting, script writing is way better. The graphics are way better. It misses the aspect of, it has all these like really cool designs, but you don't really know the reasoning behind it. One of the great things about The Evil Within, the first one, was that dog scratching the bed.
She's very loud. She's very distracting. Between clown horns and fucking evil ghosts and scratching dogs and what the fuck is going on? This episode is haunted.
So like in the first one's like every creature has a design and has a reason for its design.
That's right, yeah. All like Ruvik's fucked up mentality.
Yeah. And then this one is just kind of like, here's a monster. Why? Because it's a monster. Oh, okay.
Right.
And it doesn't really have a reason. Now, some of the creatures are thematically designed around a particular villain you're trying to take on at that time, but there's not really much of a reason. Like, you got the camera thing with the multiple legs, and it's got an old-fashioned camera for a head.
All right.
That creepy thing that hunts you down. None of you have seen that thing?
I haven't seen that either.
Describing this does not sound scary at all.
No,
when
but it sounds cool.
When you see it, it's quite creepy because it's kind of got like
it's got fucking spider legs, Adam.
Its legs are almost done like you know when ballerinas walking on like its tippy toes type thing.
Yeah.
So it's got that, and then it's got the camera thing, and then it's got weird sounds, and it's like constantly looking.
Man, what's not scary about ballerinas and cameras, man?
Just look it up. Just look it up there.
That's fucking terrifying.
Look up what? Ballerinas with toes, or
what would you call it? The Evil Within 2 camera monster?
Sure.
Type that out. Yeah.
So
get it up.
Like that thing is very much associated
with
with the artist villain who like kills people, takes a picture, and locks them in that moment of dying as like his form of art.
He's real messed up.
He's really messed up, and he has all these paintings of like blood and stuff. He killed people.
Do you wish that they had focused on one villain? Does the game feel a little bit disjointed?
It does get a bit disjointed.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see it actually, just so I can re-horrify myself.
Re-horrify?
Yes.
Re-horrify.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing. That thing is messed up.
Yeah, I would not like that coming
near me. See, it's like ballerina legs, but it's terrifying.
You should definitely, if you're listening, look it up.
Look it up.
Like,
also, look up Ghost Lady.
No, it's okay.
No, we'll look it up later.
You know it's like, do you ever see like when people do realistic renditions of like Pokemon?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them kind of creepy.
Yeah.
This looks like if someone took like one of Sid's toys from Toy Story, but did like a realistic rendition of one.
Right,
That's exactly what that looks like.
That's actually a very good. Yeah, that's a good description.
Horrifying.
Of it.
Because the minute you're done with the artist guy, then you're on to some weird cultist guy who like deals with fire, and he has lots of fire enemies.
Is the name Theodore?
Theodore, yeah. He sees himself as some sort of preacher guy who wants to become like god of this new world.
Right.
And then after him, then there's another enemy, which is kind of like Ruvik, but deals with like white goo and stuff, and they have
I I've heard the plot of the game is quite strange in that Mobius' plan
Is
on
to create a
putting
youth.
everyone in a STEM,
Yes.
right? In the world.
Yeah.
But the problem with STEM is once there's a psychopath in it, their mind takes over it. And that's the issue they're having. But they plan on putting everyone in the world in it?
But they're planning on creating like a perfect utopia kind of concept, especially one where they can monitor everyone and change everything to will once they want to. So much like what's that old film where everyone is in this Night City? Is that the name of it?
Dark City?
Dark City, maybe.
Yeah, the Dark City.
Yeah. So that kind of idea where they have these weird alien creatures who have everyone in this city and they just watch over them and they're able to manipulate things at will.
But yeah, I thought part of the plot was that if a psychopath is in it, it ruins the system.
It ruins.
How many psychopaths in the world are there? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh yeah, no, they're
Like if they're planning on putting everyone in the world.
I never said their plan was in any way good.
No, but it's just it's an interesting concept.
So yeah, the thing is, Sebastian's daughter is the core of the system because you always need one brain to build a world. So they thought a child's mind is the most malleable. So they have a child's mind because they knew that from Ruvik, who was a psychopath, you couldn't use that.
So are all the creatures in this game manifestations of the child's mind?
No, all the psychopaths.
Oh, they have somehow taken over it.
Yeah, because they're aware that the whole thing is a system. They're able to manipulate it. So they almost have like a stronger psychosis than everyone else.
So they can bend the matrix because they're aware that it's not real.
Yeah, and because their mind can go that extra distance of imagination, kind of, because they're fucked up in the head. Well, other people.
It's weird that like the premise of the game just seems like it's so far from its initial inception or whatever. Yeah, like the creation of the game. You know.
Yeah.
Like it was initially supposed to be more psychological horror, and now it kind of suffers from the same problem I think Assassin's Creed does, where it had an initial premise and then they kind of went more sci-fi, and now it's after getting.
Well, they still deal with the psychological stuff, but I know what you mean.
It doesn't seem to be like it's not a psychological horror anymore. It's
action horror,
morality horror or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Why is there choices in it? I don't know.
No, I mean really. The fact that it's like about getting all humankind into this thing.
Oh, look, I don't think that shows up all that much in the game. I think that's just that's what the organization who are building STEM that's what they're working towards, basically. But it's like Umbrella, like it's never a defining part of any of the Resident Evil games, but ultimately for some fucking reason Umbrella want to infect everyone in the world at some point, and you're going, why? It doesn't make sense, but you just take each game as their own product and don't think about the end results of the plan. So are we saying the Evil Within 2 is your favorite game?
We'll say Evil Within 2 would be my favorite game of 2017.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because in fairness, when it came to that year, that was probably the game I was most surprised it was coming out and was.
The artwork was really cool. All that white stuff.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
The trailers were great. Oh, the trailer was fantastic.
The trailer was brilliant.
So that one I was looking really forward to, and
I was really surprised that actually when it was announced.
Yeah, because I thought Evil Within 1 didn't do that well.
I had thought that they had kind of just abandoned it or something. Yeah. So I was really surprised, but pleasantly surprised to see it.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah.
Favorite game of 2017?
I would have to say probably Resident Evil 7.
Oh, the lights are going to twitch again.
Yeah.
Another horror episode.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer as well. Like Resident Evil 7 was
phenomenal. It was very good.
Yeah, it was my second favorite game that year.
Yeah, I put it down as my second. Was there an XCOM?
You just had XCOM.
Yeah, but XCOM 2 was an expansion.
It can be your number 3, man. It can be your number 3.
It's great anyway. It's a great game.
7,
it's up there.
Unreal. Yeah. What did you like about it?
Well, just I suppose the initial impressions of it was got it for. Well, it wasn't Christmas. It would have been
Halloween.
No, it came out in like February or something. January, February.
Easter? It was January. I think it was a really early release game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember
I think everyone was really surprised with how early it was.
Yeah, and I remember installing it and I played it and got to Mia coming up the stairs at you and stuff like that. And
I was like, nope.
I noped it out of the fucking PS4
into the
case.
Nope.
went onto the shelf, and I didn't touch it until the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think I had to convince you to.
Yeah,
play it.
I'm pretty sure. Like
Takes
everyone was like, "You have to play it. You
It
have
takes
to." Play it."
bravery.
I was like, it just scared the shit out of me.
It is a really scary game.
Yeah.
And
I think it's great to be able to say that about a Resident Evil game again.
yes,
Like it was really nice to be able to say. I think they were finally. It felt like they made the game with a bit of pride. They were like, let's just embrace being fucking scary again, like, and just not so concentrated on action segments or action sequences, and let's just be really. And we talked about PT before.
yeah,
The influence is absolutely there.
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Absolutely. Like very early on, you feel that kind of PT and Outlast kind of vibe. Like outside, I felt a bit of an Outlast. You know, just before you enter the mansion.
Yeah,
Felt like the beginning of Outlast. You know, showing up in the car.
But it has that,
like
like-
outside and then.
like I from the last episode talked about Doom. These studios going back to their roots, kind of a thing. Like there's so much about Resident Evil 7 that feels like the first Resident Evil, like the simplicity of like kind of the characters not knowing what they're getting into. They enter a mansion. The mansion has like these weird quirks to it that have like these
Puzzle doors.
puzzles and things, weird keys shaped like animals to unlock doors and all this kind of stuff. Like, without being like explicitly just straight up remake, it just captured what made the original Resident Evil game so special and brought it into like this new direction.
Well, it's interesting that, and a lot of people have related it to the early Resident Evils.
Yeah.
Because in terms of gameplay, it's the biggest departure.
Well, I suppose camera angle would be.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's just that's interesting that, like if they were to tell you, a new Resident Evil is first person, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I think anyone would say would go, "Oh my god, they're completely changing Resident Evil."
Yeah, I know a
Well,
lot
if
of
you
people
play the
didn't
game-
like it, but
Oh really?
yeah, they didn't like it be going first person. But the motivation as to why it was first person, I think, is admirable, right? Because it just showed that it's not like we don't know whether or not Resident Evil 8 is going to be first person now. It may not be.
Yeah, we don't know.
Because with 2 and 3
The remakes
they've gone
suggest
back
maybe
to
otherwise. Yeah.
third person over the shoulder kind of view. But the reason for Resident Evil 7 being first person is just purely because of VR.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
and
the guys were.
you've played it in VR, haven't you?
I've not played the whole game in VR.
No.
I've played a bit of it in
Why
VR.
would you? No one deserves.
I would
to-
absolutely. I'd love to
I would
go
not
through the whole
stomach
game.
the whole thing. No,
I was
way.
trying to get
No
through.
way.
Where was I last in it? I think I was trying to get through the madness difficulty.
Jesus.
I think. Well, that's what I find really interesting about Resident Evil 7 is that if you up the difficulty, it doesn't necessarily just make the challenge harder. It also moves locations of things, and it also changes the trigger. Like in every game, there's always like if you walk through this door, it'll trigger
a moment.
the person that will then chase you for the whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you up the difficulty in it, they change the location of it. So you walk through there and you're like, oh, he's not appearing. That's weird.
Right. So
And
it's
you-
throwing you off.
And you feel, yeah. And the key that you need initially would have been in one location and you can just get it. But this time, the key is in like a bird cage and you need the coins to unlock it and you need a certain amount of them. So it
Wow.
completely changes the dynamic of the game. It's aware that you've played it before
Yeah.
and you're just playing now on the... Because you can't get Madness until you've cleared the game in anyway. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you would have had to have played it first anyway. So it just completely changed the dynamic of the game. I think that's where I was last time. But, yeah, it got really stressful, so I stopped.
It is a stressful game. Do you think it'd be fair to say, like in my opinion, it's the scariest Resident Evil game? You think that's fair to say? Or what do you think?
I don't know, because I think after, like, even... I've played it a good few times
Yeah. Same.
because I've gotten pretty much all the unlockables in it. Like, there's the things that you can get, like these sneakers that make you walk fast, or...
Particular type of I think there's a particular type of gun. Or
No, but
Yeah,
even
this
just
would be
on
the
first
fun.
playthrough, because every game is really on first playthrough. When it comes to
no,
house.
yeah, it
no,
can be quite.
I would say no, actually, because...
Well, Jack,
Okay.
Jack is.
Yeah, that bit is. That's what I was going to say. Like,
Start
so
is very
even if I
stressful.
replay it,
Right.
even on a replay, the start stresses me out. Like the whole Jack in the house coming after you with his shovel.
Yeah.
That still is
Terrifying.
Yeah, but the rest of the game, although visually is more terrifying, like the weird spider lady.
Why is there always a weird spider lady? But she's
the
more like flies and
insect lady.
yeah, she's like insects in general.
She kind of looks like one of the characters from, or one of the enemies from the film Legion.
Oh,
Yeah, she looks like that,
elongated limbs,
but
and
sounds
everything.
like Jessie from Toy Story. So it's really
Yeah.
Oh, really weird.
confusing.
But I just find that like all the kind of everything after Jack, the main like the
dad
of the house,
Yeah.
is just not as scary. There's like kind of
But you see, I feel the same way about like Resident Evil 4, which on first
Yeah,
playthrough would have
that's
scared
true.
the shit out of me.
Yep.
Once I got past the village, it got less and less scary. And as soon as you get to
Oh
the
no.
well, like, okay, the cultists are a bit scary, but as soon as you get to the island, it's just
Oh no.
no. It's it's stressful, but it's not scary anymore. It just becomes this
Regenerators.
fucking.
Oh yeah, the regenerators are creepy.
It doesn't matter how many times I play Resident Evil 4, I never get used to the regenerators. They are always
But the little
terrifying.
girl in Resi 7 is scary. Well, see, to me she is.
Yeah, like there's the ship.
So
bit.
there's always moments where
there's a bit where there's the ship and
Oh,
you've got
God,
no
yeah.
weapons.
stressful.
That bit can get a bit stressful. But apart from that, I just really really enjoy playing it. Like it's not. It is scary, but not like Alien Isolation or.
Oh no,
Outlast.
I just meant out of the Resident Evil series.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think the original Resident Evils are probably scarier. Like 2, like that being remade is probably scarier.
You should try it.
I played a little bit of it.
It is.
Resident Evil 2 is
Can't do
definitely
Resident Evil 2 is stressful.
is scarier than Resident Evil 7.
Do you think so? I
Yeah.
don't. And I think maybe it's just I do think it's scary, and I think it's stressful. But I think once I'm not in first person,
All
I
right.
feel a little bit safer. Once I'm in first person, that's what it is for me. The first person thing of it is what makes
Terrifying.
RE7 scarier for me, because I feel more like I'm in the hall as opposed to. So when I'm playing, and I'm playing Resi 2 Remake at the moment. I'm near the end of Leon's campaign, but when I'm playing it, if I'm getting into trouble, I'm like, Leon, get out of there! Come on, get the fuck out of there, right? So I'm aware that I'm not Leon. I just need to get Leon out of there. Or like something will be attacking me, or Mr. X is following me, and I'm like, tell him to fuck off, you know, and I'm trying to get away from him. Whereas in Resi 7, I was like, he's coming after me, or I was like, I'm in the hall, and I need to get away. So I just felt like I was actually so I was getting stressed for me rather than stressed for a character. That's just for me, you know. The
Well, I
first
love that,
person
like-
horror games scare me more.
Because obviously, like the series just went down the gutter with 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But this game doesn't say they never happened, right? Like it's
No, not at all.
the whole bioweapons thing was still like actually happened, and this is just like kind of a smaller story that kind of is a result of bioweapons being used by larger corporations and governments and stuff like that. So the story, I think, is just really really good. Like how they, because initially it was like this has nothing to do with Umbrella, and then when they tie that in, like they do it really
because
subtly as
at
well.
the start it does feel quite like, I know all the little elements that are the puzzles and stuff, but it does feel quite like a departure from Resident Evil. Like it feels like you're like, you know, I'm away from, I'm not playing as anyone from the other games. I'm well away from Raccoon City. There's no mention of Umbrella. There's no sign of anything. But later on, those connections come, and then it all starts to fit together. And when you get a gun, or the more you get weapons, later on, it really feels like a Resi game, I think.
Yeah.
And like you start fighting, you know, essentially zombie style enemies.
Yeah, and
they look like something.
They look exactly like something from it. Like they look like the ones from, kind of like the Ouroboros thing from 5.
A little bit like that, and a little bit like those two guys from Resi 4, the Alien Predator things.
Wait, the molded guys?
Yeah.
I think they kind of look like Ouroboros mixed with the regenerators. The way they walk and they got the big set of teeth.
And there's
on
also
them.
Actually, yeah, that's a good call.
What's the other one as well that
Thanks,
came
Chris.
out on?
I'd like the record to state that was a good call.
There was another Resident Evil game, Revelations. They look like the Oaks from Revelations as well.
I'm sure that's scary. I never really played any of it, but I'm sure that kind of goes back to its.
Not really, no. That just feels like 5 all over.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so like everything about it just feels like it belongs in Resident Evil, and it has this almost a reboot kind of feel to it as well.
Does a little bit,
but it's still like it's the 7th one.
Especially the ending. The ending is weird.
You think the ending's weird?
The ending is really weird. A guy repels out of a helicopter.
Oh right, yeah.
Right, and introduces himself. And if you've played any of the Resident Evil games, really, you'll recognize the name, but you won't recognize the person.
No.
And yet they've done an
expansion.
expansion.
You mean the visuals, looks of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've done an expansion to say this person is that person.
Yeah.
But you're like, why do they look so different and sound so different? And
he doesn't sound any different.
And didn't he pops out of a helicopter with a symbol on it.
Yeah, that's the bit that's confusing.
That's like... Well,
like who he works for isn't...
Who the fuck is he working... Yeah, what the hell's going on
in
there?
the expansion...
So I wonder is there more there.
Yeah, I played the expansion called I'm Not a Hero.
Not a Hero, yeah.
Yeah, so you play as Chris Redfield, you're going through and you're fighting all the
Jesus,
molded.
I was trying to be... it's like, if anyone wants to play the game, like...
Spoiler alert.
Chris Redfield, yeah.
But... Okay, do I keep...
I spent the whole time saying this person.
Yeah, I know, but it slipped out. I'm sorry, alright? I get excited talking about this stuff if you haven't noticed.
Okay, go on.
So, when you're doing it, I think it's that there's like a faction umbrella that's trying to right the wrongs of the past, and you're not working for them, you're working with them.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it is.
I
could be wrong. Go play it.
No, I think a lot of people
makes sense.
have speculated that was the case.
Yeah. Well, that makes more sense. It's just weird because... Yeah, okay, so it's Chris Redfield, but he pops down and he doesn't look like him, and then he goes, I'm Redfield. Which leaves you... It's like... Why would he introduce himself?
He does look
way?
like him. He just doesn't look like he bench presses a fucking truck anymore.
No, but it's just I just found it was a weird introduction.
Sure.
It's like Batman showing up in a game saying, I'm Wayne. I was like, he'd never introduced himself that way, so am I supposed to think it's a relative? Or that's why so he didn't look like Chris as I knew him, he didn't sound like Chris as I knew him. He popped out of a helicopter that Chris
like
wouldn't pop out of. I didn't think so.
It's the same bloody voice actor.
Is it really?
It has to be, yeah.
I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to look up the cast?
No.
I'm sick of these cast lists. Why are you, Mr. IMDb? I've had enough of it. What do you think of, like, was there enough enemies in Resi 7? They minimized it, like.
Yeah, no, I thought there was enough because they were quite, they did take a good few bullets and they were quite, they were good. They were good. They were good enemies.
I thought there was enough enemies. They took out bullets, man.
I think with the setting of it, the fact that it's isolated, I think if you had loads, it'd be like, but this is ridiculous. Where do they all come from?
Yeah. And there is quite a lot of them. And then going back to the roots of Resident Evil as well, like before 4, there wasn't really that many. Like 4 turned it into an action game.
It did.
But before that, it was always like an isolated location, a few enemies, very difficult to take down, and in most cases just run around them.
Yeah. Like often you'd shoot them, they'd fall down, and they'd get back up. Like I played a little bit of Resi 1, and like that first zombie you meet, like I don't know if anyone ever kills it on the first go. Like, it just gets back up.
Well,
you end up just leaving that hallway.
One of the things I love about 7 is, well, obviously how familiar everything is, but you notice like there's in the hallway of the house, there's a painting, and when you look at the painting, it says Arklay Mountains. I think it's 1997.
That's right.
Yeah. And then if you search the house, you'll find there's these kind of files from like contractors, and those contractors are the same guys that worked on the mansion in the Arklay Mountains.
All right.
So they were obviously, the family must have been, I don't know, maybe fans of the mansion or something like that, and wanted like this stuff,
this quirky design and stuff. It's a funny little thing, and it's funny that like in all the Resident Evil games there seems to be this weird. I was laughing about it the other day. We were playing Resident Evil 2, and there's a bit where you have to get these keys for an electrical like board, right?
Yeah.
And all the keys are chess pieces. I was like, who the fuck could make this thing, right?
Yeah.
So they like that must have been just in the original game, and I don't know if they'd ever justified it in the original game, but in this game they come up with some reason to try and justify it. So it's made by a company called King Electrics or something like that, and and the guy has this. There's a letter.
Night Electrics.
Sorry, Night.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they have this letter to say I hope you enjoy our quirky chess-based design or something like that. And at the end, the guy who signed it off, it says like he's a member of like a chess, like some chess club or something like that, and has played chess championships and stuff. So they try to come up with some reason as to why chess pieces are the keys to this electrical thing, where this company do it as their gimmick or
the calling card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned it in Resi 7 as well, that they try to now they're at a point where they feel they have to rationalize the weird shit in their maps, which they probably never did on the PS1.
But it's nice that having that in 7, they kind of called back to the first game. Just the overall, I suppose, setting and tone feels similar. But then when you walk into the safe rooms, there's always a safe room in Resident Evil.
Yes.
It's just so weird how when you walk into that room, it just hits you with nostalgia. Like, there's something about that music that...
And the typewriter.
That it just sounds like... Well, it wasn't a typewriter in that one.
Wasn't it?
No, it was a tape recorder.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. It's a tape recorder.
Yeah, so you have to find... Like, in the old games, it was you have to find a ribbon for the typewriter to save your progress. But in this one, you have to find tapes. Well, you don't have to but in the harder difficulty, like in Madness difficulty, in order to save the game, you have to find tapes, and you have a limited amount of them. And you have to put the tape in there.
Jesus.
And then you've
used PS1 era.
You've used that up then.
Totally.
But the music is new, obviously written new for Resident Evil 7, but it just sounds really familiar. Like when you walk in, it's like
there's always a vibe to those
really
safe rooms.
Calming. It's odd. Like
it's like therapy.
Yeah.
It's so weird that very early in the game, your character's hand gets cut off.
Yeah.
And then stitched back on, and you have use of it. But look, the game is just like gruesome and violent and horrible. Like,
you can lose your leg as well.
Yeah, and you can just like stick it back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, parts of it can be ripped off, and you can just staple it back on. Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's
like,
weird.
Like, it's not realistic, but it's just.
Well, I think. No, I won't say.
No,
I think there is like story reasons for that. But
I think there is. It's Chris Redfield. No, I'm only joking.
Answered everything.
But no, really good game, really good like experience, I think, and there's an interesting plot in there as well.
Yeah, and the promo up to that was so good. Like, I love the
really good. Yeah,
material
the demo you play as the TV crew.
Yeah.
I remember playing that.
Isn't it you play as a guy who's come there after the TV crew?
Did anyone know that was Resident Evil when that launched after?
They called it something else. Did they just call it VHS or something? And it's done like a camcorder tape. It's done like found footage. No, the kitchen was the VR one.
Yeah. No one knew that was Resident Evil.
No.
But I think when the demo...
Our mom did it.
Yeah, when the demo came out though, I think that was...
I think it's called the beginning hour or something.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7 beginning hour, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't actually think they
I don't know, I just remember playing the one with the lads with the found footage thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is in that one.
And
you get the tapes and you put in the tape and then it takes you back in time, and then when you do something in it like that. I love that shit.
That was really cool and really kind of scary. And it's cool that they were using VHS tapes and old TVs, even though it's set now, because it's like this is a crowd that haven't moved on.
And they did it for the promotional material as well. Like, so when they were sending the copies to I suppose reporters and journalists and stuff like that, they'd send them a VHS tape. So they have to try and find a VHS player, plug it into an old CRT, be able to play the tape to figure out what to do. Yeah, it's really cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then there was also there was an Easter egg of like a ghost lady in that as well.
I feel like that's a glitch. I really do feel like that's a glitch. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that was, because there's all these videos on YouTube. It's almost like the Sasquatch in San Andreas, right?
All right.
Like, people like making these videos to try to find it. Now, some people have video clips where you do find it.
Yeah.
You try and replicate that, you can't find that. You just can't. Right?
Okay.
So I feel like that's a glitch where
some people
the model of the character was appearing at points where it shouldn't have, and I think it's been patched in to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Cool. I remember playing that demo though, and just much like PT, just been like, nope.
Yeah, it was scary.
And I think there was a point you had to go into an attic or something, and I was like, nope, I'm okay.
And if you clear the demo, like I remember trying for ages to try to figure out, because it's like it almost had that PT level of like trying to figure out how you clear it.
All right.
Right, and then you try all these different things, and there is a molded in the. Oh no, that
was added onto it.
Yeah,
The first
so the
game
demo-
didn't have anything.
the demo had updates.
All right. I
So
didn't know that. I
every
wasn't aware of that.
month or so, it got like an addition, another room added, and that will just add more to figuring out how to clear it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like they added a molded down in the basement, and
Yeah, because it was
I
like
think you could kill it, but
yeah, you could kill it, but there was a door covering mold and no one could get in there. And eventually, they released a trailer where it's going through the house and it shows that door slightly opening to let everyone know the next update that door is open, so you can go in there.
But when you clear the game or clear the demo, you eventually go up into the attic, which would be the area where you fight Mia.
Yes,
in
that's
the game.
right.
At the start of the game, yeah.
And in one of the rooms is a rocking chair, and I think there's like laughter happening, and there's like a sign on it that says "Well done" or something like that. And there's like an antique coin in it, on the chair.
Yeah.
And the coins are a mechanic in the game, obviously, that you find the coins to put into these little bird boxes to unlock upgrades to yourself or to weapons.
Yes.
So that antique game, like if you save the demo, you can load that up into the main game, and you carry that antique coin over to use in the game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That's very cool. Another thing I liked about Resi 7, this is a very small thing, but it bridged the two names. So in the West, it was called Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Yeah.
And over in the East then, it was called Biohazard 7 Resident Evil.
Yeah, I love that.
I thought that was really cool because, like, in Japan where it's made, the series is actually called Biohazard.
Yeah.
And yet it's known quite popularly as Resident Evil, not only because it's very popular in the West, but because the movie franchise got called Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was really cool that they decided for this one, let's bring everyone on the same page, and like whatever way we name it, the subtitle will be the opposite. You know,
Yeah,
I
and
thought
the
that was
7
really cool.
Works. as
Yeah,
well.
it's
the
in
way
the
they
font.
tie it in. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Really cool. Probably not as cool when it's Biohazard 7 though, is it?
No,
'Cause
it's really nice.
How did they do it on that one?
It's part of Bio.
Oh, did they put it in Resident Evil underneath?
I don't remember now.
Is it like the same thing, but it's just Biohazard is on top?
So what it is that they take one of the letters. So in Resident Evil Biohazard,
Yeah.
it's the I and the V.
Yeah.
No, wait, VII.
VI and the L, but they only
Use
color in
so
the
make it
actual-
look like VII basically used in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Japanese version, it's Biohazard Resident Evil, but it's the Z of Biohazard. They just color
Colored that
part of
part.
that to make it look like a numeric 7.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's very good.
That's very clever. I love shit like that. I think that's really cool.
Good job, Resident Evil.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 7 did what Resident Evil 4 had done previously, which was revamp the Resident
get
series.
people interested in Resident Evil again.
Yeah, so
Have,
kudos
like
for doing that. whoever did it.
introducing the whole following around system as well, which was a great system.
Yeah, they brought back, and that's actually not a new mechanic because that dates back to Nemesis in Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
No, true. Yeah.
The enemy stalking you thing. And other games in the Resi series, I think, did that too. So it's not a case of... Basically, that is a mechanic that was lost in
Resident
future
Evil
games. So that game brought that back, the idea of an enemy stalking you.
Yeah.
And now the remakes are doing it, with Mr. X, and Resident Evil 3 itself is being remade now.
Yeah. And
Coming out this year.
The DLCs for Resident Evil 7 were really cool.
Yeah.
Like what's it called again? Mia. I think it's actually just the one called Mia. I think.
Right.
I think.
Is there? Are you talking about the one you play as the uncle? I don't think there's one where you play as Mia. About
No,
Mia.
it's not where you. Yeah, you do play as Mia, don't you?
In DLC?
It's where you're brought to the house first, and you see the family is like really, really nice.
Yeah.
They're a really, really nice family, and then
I don't know this one.
you're like being looked after because you're the character that the tanker crashed and stuff like that, and so they bring you in. They're like mending you kind of, and you're in one of the bedrooms anyway, right? Because there's a sister, isn't there? Like it's like the actual daughter of the family.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in like her old room or something like that, and then they also come back. Jack comes back and he finds that they had the little girl as well, so they're looking after her. And within like a few minutes, the family goes like insane. You see how the family goes from this loving family into
and that's the thing, isn't it? Don't you later on in the game find out that they were a loving family? And you have this moment, and I think it's kind of done like a dream sequence type thing, but it's like Jack, right? He's the father. He like literally says, "Please put us out of our misery," or something like that. I can't remember. They're like sitting on a couch, and he's explaining, we're not bad people. And it's like, so you realize like the people that have been tormenting you for this whole game, and you probably hate them for the whole game, are actually victims of something else. Yeah. It's really cool.
But it's nice to see like them in their original state, and the house looks lovely.
Yeah,
and how it becomes this horror. Place.
That's very cool.
And Mia tries to escape then.
Yeah.
And how she becomes captured.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an absolute pussy compared to you two then, because you both had horror games as your favorite games of the year, and while I liked both of those games, my favorite game of 2017 was Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh yeah, that game had that year. Yeah.
It did, yeah. So it's I think what I liked about it was I wasn't expecting anything from it. I really wasn't that excited for it, and I didn't expect much.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking that the concept was kind of cool. Just the idea of it's a post-apocalyptic world with these giant machines roaming the wilds, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Might be a fun game. So I picked it up. Didn't expect much out of it at all. And it was way more in-depth and way bigger a game than I was ever expecting.
The opening is fantastic.
Yeah, really good. Really good. And I really like Aloy as a protagonist. I think she's a great character, and I think they wrote her really well. I would not have been as much a fan if she was... And it's said from the get-go, she's an outcast of a tribe, and she has been outcasted her whole life along with the person who's raising her. As part of the plot is to find out why she is outcasted or what's so different about her. And I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of deciding, right, well, this character is going to grow up to be a very angry character who doesn't like or trust anyone then, right? And I don't think I would have liked her if that's the way she was, if she was aggressive. Instead, she is a very curious person, and she is very much of the... her motivation is to prove herself. She wants to be accepted, not that she wants vengeance in any way or anything like that. And for that reason, I really like her as a protagonist, because I think it makes her very relatable. Her whole thing is, I just want to be accepted, and I want to know more. And she's curious.
Yep.
She wants to know more about the world. So every time she's finding out a little bit of information, she wants to delve further into it. Kind of like Alice in Wonderland, I suppose. She's a curious character, and has already, I think, become like a PlayStation icon.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Aloy.
Yeah.
She's like,
and you know the second one is going to be like...
It's going to be huge.
Ridiculous. It's going to do what Uncharted 2 did to the Uncharted series, what Assassin's Creed 2 did to the
because I think series. I do think the first game, as big as it was, and Jesus, it was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I do think that's only the beginning as such.
Yeah. And it definitely has room for improvements.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. I'm not crazy about the combat.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
It's one of the elements, but the world building, the way they talk about AI, their tribal society, the way they look at robots as like, or they have like, there's this big computer system, and that's like their god that they worship.
Yeah, like I love that shit. And I love that like the old machine, or the I suppose they would have been either factories or bunkers or something like that.
That's
like
right. They call them cauldrons, right?
Yeah, the way they're kind of like their versions of temples and shit like that, and you must stay away from them because you'll anger the gods and stuff like that. I loved exploring that shit and finding all the old like kind of tapes, I suppose, to listen to them back to see the way the world
what happened
was.
to the world,
like how did the world end up this way, like
just the setting of it. But I love and people have grown up in this world, and some like I just love the notion that some people haven't questioned it. This is their norm, and as far as they're concerned, the machines have maybe always been there. Yeah. Like some people don't even think about the fact that someone made these and it was possibly us.
Yeah.
Do you know? And then But Aloy is questioning everything, you
Yeah.
know, and which is great because you as a player are going to anyway, so it gives you a.
And the
a
reveal,
voice.
the story reveal, I think is just phenomenal. I actually think it's fucking brilliant.
It's really good. Yeah, it is. It's
Like, 'cause it has
really
the
good.
most-
This is one I can't spoil because I actually haven't played nor cleared the game.
Have you not?
No.
Well, I am not going to spoil it.
Well, the game, see, I much like Resident Evil 7, I remember playing it and I was hooked at the beginning. I thought, like, Jesus, this is almost Pixar level in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, and then it gets into the game.
But it's also a bit, sorry, just like in the last episode, a bit like Uncharted 4.
Yeah,
If you want to restart it, the start is a pain in the ass.
yeah, it takes a while to get back.
So there's a
yeah,
long kind of prologue to the game.
yeah,
But for your first experience, it's pivotal
yeah.
to the overall experience.
But the gameplay then of Aloy trying to be accepted by the tribe kind of thingy.
Yeah.
Although her motivations are interesting as a character, I hated that entire bit. It just really slowed down.
It was like, let's get down to business.
Yeah, it's like. But once you get like, so I remember getting so far, and I was like, you know what, I've been playing this for a good, like I say, about 3 hours, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling this game, and I left it. And I think it was when the Beast from the East came, the snowstorm.
Right, yeah.
And I was stuck in the house for a few days.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I was going to clear this game. So where I picked up onwards is a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When it
that
opens up,
that first 3 hours is like, it's actually kind of shit.
bit of a trudge.
I think like without that, it's a way better game. So when it starts to open up till when it clearing it. And I also dropped the game, I think, way down to like the easiest difficulty as well, because, like you said, I think the gameplay is not great. Like
I think the combat scenarios are.
The combat is not that good, and it's really annoying that like you just want to get from this point to that point, and
there's so
every
many
time,
machines.
almost like Arkham Origins, it's like the amount of machines that just want to fight you, and nearly every fight is like a boss combat nearly, because you have to. It's like an RPG element. You have to figure out how to take them down, and that just So
like I think the combat should be quicker.
Yeah.
More fast paced.
Because what's really
So it's more
interesting about
intense.
the game is going through those cauldrons, find the story, and then getting the reveal at the end is just like, that's really good.
Yeah.
Back to when you said Beast from the East, I thought you meant like the DLC, and I was like, I was about to say
Frozen Wilds.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
what it's called. But then when you,
Oh yeah.
I kind of copped
the
on.
snowstorm.
Yeah,
But yeah, like, and even like the music to the game, I found very moving. The world was very immersive for me.
Yeah.
I was just so surprised. I wasn't expecting this giant open world experience. And the map kept getting bigger. And like I said, like I don't like.
that kind of threw me off. Like I
Okay.
said I didn't play it, but I did play a bit of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was open world, I was like, I don't want another open world game.
Well, it's
I
so
wanted
funny
a-
because I've said this a couple of times. On paper, Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely everything you'd like,
yeah, it is.
It is, yeah.
and yet for some reason you.
I
couldn't get into
didn't
it.
even I thought like
But it goes to show, because I think like when we go back to The Witcher 3, right?
yeah
On paper, The Witcher 3 is a game I would absolutely love.
yeah I will
And for
go
some
back
reason,
and play Horizon.
I can't get into it. So it's a similar.
Is that thing we're playing?
thing
I
there.
would recommend dropping it way down and just
Experiencing
push
it.
through the story.
Yeah.
Because I do think that the gameplay isn't great.
And I do hope that's
Um,
something that they improve on in the sequel.
That and the world doesn't feel
Like I know she's a
lived
female,
in.
but she doesn't have to use a bow.
All right. I mean, I don't think the bow thing is because she's a female. I know you're drawing comparisons to Tomb Raider, right?
Tomb Raider and
Ellie.
and Katniss
Ellie.
Everdeen and Ellie.
Right.
Like
Well,
nearly every strong female
I
character
think
has actually
the
used a bow at
reason
this point.
they went for the bow
to make her feel tribal.
is tribal, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think it's
tribal
because-
hunter-esque.
Yeah.
She could have an axe.
So in that sense, it actually, for me, it made sense. The bow made sense.
Well, maybe just we need because she does have a spear type thing, doesn't she?
As well, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really kind of
That's slow.
That is
slow.
That
and
yeah, I had
slow
an
and
issue
shit.
with using
But
that.
it'd be cool if like you could have the bow, but you could also have a choice of also melee weapon, and depending on the
Yeah,
type
they
of melee
definitely need
weapon,
to open it
They-
up
yeah.
big time. The bow, though, I think they do a really good job at it. Like, it doesn't feel slow to shoot.
No.
And you can change your ammo quite quickly in it. And
Yeah.
so that aspect of it, I think, is actually fine. But yeah, I do think they need to improve the combat big time, and they also need to make the world feel lived in.
Yeah.
As well, like the certain civilizations you go to, there needs to be more kind of interactions and exploration in those locations as well.
Yeah.
Because like trying to tell different tribes apart is kind of difficult. Like the
But
Karja, I think you can tell
Yeah.
when you see one of them.
You do, yeah.
But everyone
They're
else
quite
kind
obvious.
of looks the same. To be honest.
I was, just the Ojian and all these kind of.
Yeah.
I was so surprised with the amount of like side quests and things and everything. Like I really wasn't. Maybe I just didn't keep up with when they were telling people about the game.
Okay.
I was not expecting any of that. I thought it was going to be like a real linear game.
I kind of wish it was.
I don't know.
I like the.
I don't know if the
think it's
world, if they would be able to sell you the world if it was linear.
Yeah. No, I like the
But
open.
maybe open linear.
Because like when you think about it, we have too many. When it comes to PlayStation exclusives, right? There isn't that much diversity in PlayStation exclusives. They're all single player story driven games, right? The fact that now PlayStation has an exclusive open world game is so great to have. But what they do need to do is take things like from The Witcher, where the side missions have a lot more depth and importance
Yeah,
to
a bit
them.
bigger, yeah.
Because the side missions aren't great, and you don't get much out of them either.
No, they're okay. Like
Yeah, it's like
if
they're
you're looking
co-
for extra, like they're
if you
not
wanna
as
get
bad
the
as just.
platinum.
I think
They're not as bad as just fetch quests.
I think
No.
another thing that threw me off was because obviously for the start, it's ages before the tribe you're first with recognizes you as a friend. They don't accept you into the tribe, but they recognize you as a friend that they're willing to deal with you. And the market is open to you, so you're able to buy stuff, which is like, okay, cool.
Oh yes, this is right.
But you have all the best equipment at the start
Yeah,
for like quite a
you
long
can buy
while.
like the.
No,
you
but
can-
like I said, that's only if you're on the if you play that game on normal, right?
Yeah, you'd
It's
have
not-
to kind of.
it doesn't play out that way.
But your bow is like the most well-rounded, so why would you?
But there's
I
other
get what you're
weapons.
saying. Like,
I
why,
know there
why
are
would
other
the best
weapons.
bow in the game be available to you so early in the game?
But it's not.
Is that what
though.
you're saying?
Well, no, yeah.
Well, for a
'cause
long time it is because you meet other merchants. Because I know what he's talking about. You meet other merchants, and for a long time, the stuff they're offering is not as good as the first merchant you met.
I mean
So
the
that's
very first bow you have is better than most of the bows they sell you at the start of the game
Yeah, I know.
because it's the most well-rounded. So I was like, okay,
Well, that again, that
Now-
depends on your gameplay strategy. You know what I mean? Like like I said, if you're playing this on, I think if you want to play this on easy, you're doing it just for the story, and that's the way I played it, and I just wanted to play for the story. I didn't care for the combat; it wasn't my thing. But if you were playing that on like a normal or a harder difficulty, those weapons will absolutely matter, and depending on your gameplay style as well, it's kind of like with like when you go to like Resogun. Like if you look at the game Resogun, you're kind of thinking like, well, why would you use any of the other ships? Because I think it's like the Nemesis ship is the best well-rounded one. Well, some people prefer to have speed, like myself, so I would go for the Phobos or something like that. Or
the
whatever it's called.
Phobos was the strong
Oh,
one.
the fat one, yeah. So I would go for the Ferex or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
That one has speed. That's more important to me. Whereas one of my other friends wanted more power, so they go for the Phobos. And it's when you go higher difficulty, that's when that stuff matters. On the easiest difficulty, none of that matters.
Fair.
I think I've said it to many people, I would recommend Horizon Zero Dawn to people who don't know what kind of games they like, right?
Yeah.
And the reason being, I think it's a good tester, right? You might not like everything about this game. Like, so for example, we both agree, like, we don't like the combat, right?
Yep.
But there's loads of other stuff about the game we do like. I think if you play that game, you can pick out the element you like,
Yeah.
and from that, people can now recommend you loads of games you should play. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're like, oh, I liked, I liked just exploring the open world. It's like, okay, here's a whole list of games you should play then.
Yeah.
Or if someone's like, I liked the dialogue bits where I could choose what I get to say. Okay, here's a whole list of games you can play. It's like, I liked using the bow. Here's a list of games you
Yeah.
should play.
You can kind of
So
see the
they took-
direction they're going to go as well.
Yeah, they took like, so this is the crowd that made the Killzone games. They took a lot of stuff from a lot of games that they'd obviously seen and liked, and pooled it together. Like Horizon Zero Dawn for me doesn't do anything new,
No.
but it takes a lot of stuff that works and then does and makes an
Yeah,
experience
like
that's new.
I think the only credit you can give it.
Oh my
Oh,
god, the
Pip.
ghost is back!
Pippin is Birkin.
The
Someone's
only
here.
credit we could give Horizon is in writing.
Yeah, like the writing
Well,
is all
the
original.
designs of the
plot-
machines are absolutely class.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Like
And
I
even
know,
the-
I know
the
obviously
setting.
they're just based off Jurassic Park, but
But they're not all robot dinosaurs.
I know they're not all robot dinosaurs, but just the idea of that is such an...
But the reason for the robots' designs is part of the story reveal, which is, I think, phenomenal.
The plot is actually really good.
I
story plot is
I've
really
always
good.
been meaning to get around to playing it, and I just haven't.
And there's
but I
this
will.
interesting dark thing going on in the game as well that's interesting, and
the
there's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
There's a reason for everything in the game.
The expansion is good as well, isn't it? Frozen Wilds. It's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It improves on some elements like how, like cutscenes. Like, you know, when people are talking, like it kind of Horizon kind of has
jarring
the
to me as well.
yeah, it kind of has almost the Oblivion style, the way it zooms up on
Yeah,
someone's
that's
face.
true. Yeah, that's true.
So it improved that in the Frozen Wilds. So when you play the Frozen Wilds, you can kind of see the direction they're going to head in, where they improve on certain things. Gameplay wise, it's so difficult.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Is it?
really hard in comparison to the original game. Even though it recommends, like, I think it's like level, I don't know, 11 or 15 or something like that. They say, oh yeah, this is open to you, so you can go play it now.
That's right, because
There's
certain
no
quests,
way you can do it.
Yeah, certain quests as well, they kind of recommend it to you based on your level.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see whether you're ready to take on something
Some
or
of the
not.
creatures in the Frozen Wilds are tough.
Yeah.
But there are newer creatures because there is a reason for why certain creatures look different in different locations.
Okay.
But I like that's the thing that really why it's my favorite game that year. Not only because it's a character driven story, which is something that I always love, and it's got a really good story, which is something I always look for. Just because I am always fascinated by different like beliefs and stuff. That stuff has always interested me. The topic of religion and spirituality has always interested me. So the way they talk about the machines as a religion is just fascinating to me. Whether it's an AI that they worship, or whether it's even just like those machines are possessed by demons and it's a computer virus or whatever. You know, like the way they speak about stuff in this tribal, nomadic, old school kind of just made this such a immersive and interesting world. It was far more in depth than I was expecting at all from the game. I expected something much smaller than what it gave me. So my expectations were blown out of proportion. Now, maybe if I had expected a lot more, or maybe if I'd followed what the game developers had, because I didn't follow anything on it. So maybe if I had been following it, maybe I would have been like, it's just a meh game. But because I was expecting nothing.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Is this question anything to do with the storyline? But are there any animals in the world? Because what do they eat? Because so far in the world, you really...
No, there is, yeah.
Yeah, there's animals.
Do you get to see them in the world?
I can't remember.
I know you get to see ants. I know they put in that sort of detail. You can see ants going up a tree.
It at no point explicitly says there's no animals. It would make sense to the plot that there is.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely... I think I've seen things like birds and rabbits. I don't think there's larger
mammals.
Yeah.
No.
I think just smaller, like, because some of them wear fur, like, so they're gonna have like.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, and like
do you really get to see any like other animals or something?
The larger plot, the larger reason behind it all is really good, and yeah, like Adam said, the reveal is well done. Yeah, really well done.
Like, because I think the game has one of the most generic fucking names for a game ever.
I was about to say that because, you know, sometimes like I'll talk about how I love the name of a game, and like that is important. Naming your stuff is really important, and it can have an impact as to whether it, you know, whether you'll remember it or not, right? Horizon Zero Dawn is a terrible name for a game, and a terrible name for this game.
No, I don't think it's a terrible name for this game. I think it's a terrible name, just straight up. It just doesn't sound great. It just sounds very generic, just like whatever.
Sounds like words thrown together.
Yeah. But it actually has a reason in the story, and I actually really like why it's called Zero Dawn. I don't know why it's called Horizon. But
that's the bit I mean, though.
I think that it's called Horizon.
I wish it was just called Zero Dawn.
I do think it's called Horizon just to kind of show off the Decima engine and its power in terms of draw distance and stuff like that. I think there's kind of like a meta reason for that.
Yeah, but like I don't think like you made a joke about this before, right? Like imagine calling the next one Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Yeah.
I think it will be.
Oh, you think?
I don't think the game is called Horizon Zero Dawn. I think it's called Horizon Zero Dawn.
No.
And I think the next one will be called Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
No.
And when that happens, I'm going to be like,
To the
well,
average
there's
Joe,
the worst
you more-
title for a game ever.
Yeah.
To the average Joe, you more or less just said the same thing.
I know, yeah. It's all
It's
about...
like, there's The Matrix, or The Matrix, man.
Well, if you had to read this written down, it'd be even more confusing. Because you wouldn't have my pronunciation of it. So it'd be like,
yeah.
I don't think it's called Horizon Zero Dawn. I think it's called Horizon Zero Dawn. But yeah, no. Great.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Great game. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, interestingly, it doesn't have great replay value.
No, it doesn't, and I would
It's
agree
like
with that.
You play it and then that's it. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of it being an open world game, it has incredible detail, like ridiculous detail for an open world game,
It does,
especially for the first attempt.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Like the
kudos to them.
lush environment,
What does that even mean?
beautiful,
It means well done.
beautiful world. Well, there's nothing to do in it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing to do in that world.
Yeah, it's
Unless-
that whole thing of like, and it opens up more and more, and every so you see the map get bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
you go, "Fuck, I have no time for this."
Yeah.
But it's that thing of like, it doesn't really matter how big your map is.
Yeah,
It matters. The content and the experience is what matters.
yeah,
So whether it takes me 10 minutes to get from one side of the map to another part of the map I need to get to,
yeah.
and nothing happens, or 2 minutes, but there's something amazing at every step of the way.
Yeah,
You know, there's a big difference between that.
yeah, because even like if you take something like Skyrim, which would have obviously locations that even seem somewhat similar, but in every location there's going to be something that is going to benefit you, whether it's a new side quest or it's going to be
Just some
a piece of
interesting
armor
lore.
or a thing that like is a collectible or something, right?
Yeah.
Most of the main decent collectibles in Horizon Zero Dawn are all in the cauldrons, so you just go there. You
Yeah,
don't really
sure.
need to, like, there's some really nice locations
And they're reminiscent of like the temples in Tomb Raider.
or I think in Assassin's Creed or
All
something.
the ancient kind of temple
Yeah,
things.
Oh, kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just mean like say they play like that. So like I said, Horizon Zero Dawn pulls a lot of influences from a lot of other games.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider
That-
is one of them.
That's why.
The Witcher
yeah.
is another one. The thing of going around the world and like collecting little bits and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I know
That's
why I
another
was
one.
kind of not really big on the whole it being an open world and going down to the cauldrons and everything
why is that?
was because maybe last year, the year before, some of that, not too sure if you wrote down, Mass Effect Andromeda was out, and that had like each planet you went to was this big open map with essentially nothing there, and it was a sci-fi, and you had the big,
Oh, it kind of dampened your.
you had the remnant cities, which were these underground structures, looked very, very similar to the cauldrons and everything.
All right.
So I was kind of almost playing it, and I was like, right, this is not what I need is a big open world. What I need is...
Well, actually, I think Mass Effect came out that year as well. I think.
All right, so I played
So you
that.
had played that before playing Horizon, and maybe
Yeah,
it just.
and then
kinda-
there was Metal Gear Solid 5, obviously big open world, nothing in it, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting disappointed by open worlds, kind of one after
No, and that's
another.
fair enough. And as well, like an open world game, like it can be. You're like, I just don't have time to get
Yeah.
into one of these big things. It can be very off-putting. But I do think, again, now the combat is annoying, and it is going, and there's a lot of it. So that's something
Yeah.
you kind of have to trudge through. But I just think the experience of the story and
Yeah.
the world is worth experiencing once.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
the reason for the world being the way it is, I think, is really clever.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I mean, it's not an unheard of plot, but in game,
No, yeah.
I haven't seen it in games before,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think,
Eric's so intrigued now.
Yeah.
We
I
actually
am,
work for Gorilla. This court case is.
but I do think that the sequel is going to be
I think.
amazing.
I think yeah, because as well, what's after happening with more games and other things that they will, because like they would have been making this while some other stuff came out, right? So even some of the stuff that came out in the 2 years prior to that, they were already working on this.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have totally changed it up altogether. So now that stuff and anything that's come out since then is going to influence the sequel.
Yeah.
And also just their own ideas and stuff that they go, well, that didn't work, let's try this. And I do think Horizon Zero Dawn, the sequel, whatever it's going to be called, or
I hope
whatever
they
it's
call
going
it
to
that.
be. Yeah,
Just Horizon
Horizon Zero Dawn
Horizon
2,
2.
the sequel.
bring me the Horizon 2. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. So I actually am really looking forward to that one,
Yeah.
which is we don't get a lot of original IPs, so it was nice to get this one.
Yeah.
It's nice to get a franchise starter on the PS4, because the PS4 felt like it was just ending other series or rebooting series. And Horizon was one of the few like series starters on the PS4.
And nice to see Guerrilla Games just like finally break free from Killzone
And embrace something totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different, yeah.
Because it's very difficult for a studio to do, because studios tend to, like, the reason they kind of tend to like shove out the same style of games every time is because they have the tools and the skills already in place, and it can take a long time to change that up. Like, you know, hire new people, build a new game engine that will play for a very specific game. Like EA are struggling to make games, different types of games, with their Frostbite engine, because Frostbite is built for first-person shooters, and they're trying so hard to make things like Mass Effect or Anthem or Battlefront, like anything really. They're trying so hard to use that Frostbite engine with all these different types of games, and it's not working. And all their devs hate using that engine because it's built for first-person shooters.
Crazy idea, man. Try a new engine.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
It's gonna go out and
hire one.
Yeah.
But
Unreal Engine, why not just try that? Like everyone else is using it.
Yeah. So for them to just like pivot completely, go from a first-person shooter, and they had an engine that worked for that, and build a whole new one.
Yep.
For an open world third-person game, and I think it was a first attempt. Well
yeah,
done.
and I like to give them credit as well for taking the risk, because they didn't take a risk on a small game. Like, yeah, I thought it was going to be a linear thing. This game is really big. It's really huge. And if it was, and it went down well. If it was a total flop, like they would have been scoffed at. They were like, "What the fuck did you put in all that effort for?" Right? Yeah. But it went down really well. There's a lot, like, it was well received. A lot of people liked it. So, yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. So that sums up our favorite games from 2017. It was mostly horror, actually. So we had the little light, happy Horizon Zero Dawn, and then we had Resident Evil 7. And The Evil Within 2. And some of the other games that came out that year were... Hold on, that can't be right.
What?
I have Breath of the Wild written down.
Yeah, it did come out that year.
That's not your favourite game that year? I'm so surprised.
No. Like, it's a great game.
Why did I think that came out way more recently?
Because people still play it. And it's still sold for like 70 quid.
Oh, Jesus, I thought that came out way more recently.
No.
I thought that only came out like... Well, I thought it came out the following year, actually, 2018.
No.
Jesus, right, sorry. Breath of the Wild came out that year, so I imagine that one you're probably surprised no one mentioned. Super Mario Odyssey, Nier Automata, Injustice 2, Hellblade, Cuphead, Destiny 2, and Neo. Those are some of the really big games that came out that year, but there was loads.
And like Breath of the Wild was a phenomenal game. I don't want to say like it's not, but it's just...
Yeah. No, look, it's like we've said before, these are our own personal preferences, and also... That doesn't mean we don't like the other games. It's just we are restricting ourselves to what is your absolute favorite from that year.
Yep.
So next time we will be talking about our favorite games from 2018, which will be another very interesting one, I think.
Yeah.
But for now, let's get out of this haunted playground. This court has been adjourned. Thank you and goodbye.
See ya.